All right, we'll go ahead and get started if everyone's ready. So good afternoon, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be a part of this year's second pollution prevention webinar entitled A Safer and More Sustainable Option for Your Facility's Water Treatment. This webinar is being put on by the Tennessee Green Star Partnership Program in collaboration with the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, Aquaphase, Inc., and Blue Ocean Solids, LLC. My name is Caleb Powell, and I am an environmental scientist for the Office of Policy and Sustainable Practices at TDEC, and I will be hosting the webinar today for our wonderful speakers. Everyone is muted upon entry to reduce the amount of background noise, but if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, like if you have any issues with video or audio or anything like that and you need some help, feel free to ask those in the chat. We're going to be doing the questions at the end, so feel free if a question hits you and you want to go ahead and send it in the chat, go ahead and do that. There also is a drop down to show who you're sending that to, so make sure that you either do all participants or just hosts and presenters, so that mainly the main thing is that the host is a part of that, so that I can see those questions and ask those to our presenters. I'm actually sending a chat right now, so everyone should be able to see where that is. I sent that to everyone. And then also, you can also raise your hand. There's a little hand raising emoji under the participants window. And if you do that, then I can unmute you, and I'll unmute you, and you can actually ask your question there. So to give an overview of what is going to be covered today, you might be asking, why do we need to treat our water? Preventing scale, corrosion, and microbial fouling keeps your cooling towers and boilers running efficiently, and also helps to prolong your equipment's life. This protection has been provided in the form of hazardous liquid water treatment since the 1960s. Our webinar speakers today will provide an overview of innovative technology and will introduce a safer, more sustainable, proven form of critical water treatment. Our presenters have a wealth of knowledge and experience, and then that's going to help us better understand a safer and more sustainable option for our facility's water treatment. So our speakers today are Melissa Davis, and she is the Vice President of Technology for Aquaphase, Inc. We have Kathleen Collier. She's the Director of Sales and Marketing for Blue Ocean Solids. And we have Mark Beller, and he is the President of Blue Ocean Solids. So I will pass that all over to you guys, and we are ready to go.
All right, thank you, Caleb. I hope everyone can hear me. I don't know how the rest of you woke up this morning, but here in Cincinnati, we broke a 120-year-old record with 3.5 inches of snow. And it's beautiful, but it's April 21st, so it was quite a shocker to wake up to that much snow. But luckily, we didn't lose any power, and we can continue with this safer, more sustainable option of water treatment. On behalf of Aquaphase and Blue Ocean Solids, we'd like to thank TGSP and everyone that's attending today. A special shout out to Caleb and Kathy and Vaughn for allowing us to present today. So during this webinar, we will outline how working with really a high capability, high integrity water treatment service provider, which is Aquaphase, and an innovative product will help your facility, your building, your organization really align with what TGSP's objectives are. There is synergy between this presentation and these objectives, avoiding unnecessary operational costs and increasing energy efficiency. Melissa will cover that in her part of the presentation, and then Kathleen will give a really good overview on making a positive environmental outcome by reducing carbon footprint. And to me, the most important thing, although I believe in all of this, providing a safer workplace by removing some hazardous material from your facility. Before I turn this over to Melissa, I need to talk about Aquaphase real quickly. They're an industry leader. They they're service focused, which sometimes is hard to find nowadays. But they have low turnover, and that helps with their service. And they're real. We're talking about one part of water treatment today, but they're true experts in all areas of water treatment, whether it's equipment, reporting, water management plans, obviously chemistry. They're just good people. But the reason we're on this call is because they were really early adopters to something different. Like Caleb said, liquid water treatment's been around since the 1960s. And in the 1960s, it was a great thing because before that, everything was delivered in a powder, and a facility guy or a maintenance guy would have to mix them on site, and it just was a mess. So they decided, hey, we can raise the pH to 14 or down to 1. They can put all these raw, state-of-the-art polymers and everything that protects your systems into a 55-gallon drum, and everything stays in solution. So at the time, it was a better way to do things. But as we all know, change is sometimes hard for people that have been doing it one way for 30 years or more. And Aquaphase was an early adopter to this technology. They really grew up with it, and they've become true experts on the application. And there's nothing magical in what we do. There is a bit of proprietary manufacturing, but it's the same chemistry as the liquids. You just have to know how to apply it in certain systems. So after this presentation, if you like what you see, I would highly recommend just have Aquaphase reach out to Melissa or her team, and they can come in and do a non-pressure. And I say this because I know Aquaphase really well over the years. Non-pressure survey, just give them another set of eyes and see if solids is a good fit for your water treatment system. So again, thank you everyone for attending, and I'll turn this over to Melissa Davis, the VP of Aquaphase.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I appreciate the time. So, as Mark did a really nice introduction, we've been in business for over 50 years in the water treatment industry. This year actually starts my 25th year in the industry, so we have been around so a lot, and really are glad to be partnering with Mark and Kathleen and Blue Ocean. It's a great product. So with that being said, we'll jump in. Kind of, why do we even need water treatment? You know, let's just start looking at water itself. Why do we need to treat it? Why are we in business? Why are we here to help support you know, these water systems? So let's just start at the beginning at water. The slide on the left is the water cycle. The water cycle is this illustration basically just describes the continuous movement of water within the earth and atmosphere. It's continuous, but we'll just start at evaporation. That's when the water leaves the Earth's surface as a vapor. It goes into the atmosphere. When it reaches the atmosphere, it cools, condenses in the clouds. It comes back to Earth as precipitation, either in rain or snow. Like Mark said, he just had some snow in April. We get the precipitation, and the cycle just starts all over again. When the water comes back to Earth, it comes in two different places. It can either be surface water, which is basically water that's collected on the Earth's surface. That's in the lakes, rivers, streams, even the ocean is considered surface water. Or it passes through the Earth's surface, through the ground, and we have groundwater. As the water passes through the ground, it's passing through or percolating through sand, stone, rocks, all different parts of the ground until it reaches where it collects in aquifers. When we talk about water from a chemical standpoint, we call it the universal solvent. It likes to dissolve things. So as the water's trickling through the ground, it's dissolving the sand, the stone, whatever it's passing through, and it's picking up these impurities or contaminants. In my part of the country, Middle Tennessee, we have a lot of limestone. So as the water passes through, it's picking up the calcium. One of the big differences between the groundwater and the surface water is that groundwater tends to have higher levels of dissolved solids compared with the surface water. Surface water tends to have more suspended solids. We'll see that after it rains, you know, in the lakes or the rivers, we see a lot of debris collecting in. These suspended solids are materials that can be settled or filtered out. And then again, a lot of the water that we use in our facilities comes from municipalities where it's treated. It's treated to make it potable so we can drink it as humans, but it doesn't take out all the impurities that may go down the road and cause some issues later on in our water systems. So why do we treat water? We need to treat it because it has impurities that come from the makeup water, and as the system operates, they can become concentrated and cause issues within the system. And also, we can have bacteria or other biological matter that can enter into the system. So now we'll get into an example of a chiller system. I'm going to stick with just cooling systems for this presentation. This particular slide is an example of a cooling tower with a chiller system. These systems are pretty much designed, their main objective is to move or transfer heat. The cooling tower itself is designed to reject heat to the atmosphere, and it does it through evaporation. So what we're doing is we're just basically transferring heat where we don't want it out to the atmosphere. So in this example, on the bottom right-hand side, we have the heat load. The heat load could be a manufacturing process. It could be heat in a building. We're trying to air condition the building and keep the heat out. Anything that generates heat that we need to remove from that area, we're going to transfer it. We transfer that heat to the water. We use water because water has excellent heat transfer properties. It's an excellent heat transfer fluid. It's readily available. It has one of the highest heat transfer capacities of all available fluids. So we use water. The heat is picked up into the water, and it is taken to the evaporator side of the chiller, where the heat is then just transferred to the refrigerant. And as you see on the evaporator side on the bottom part, it's blue. That's to illustrate that the heat is transferred out, so the remaining water is cooler, so it can go back and pick up the heat load and just keep that cycle. Once the heat is transferred to refrigerant, again, we're just transferring heat, it is transferred to the condenser side of the chiller. From there, the heat is then taken from the condenser water, takes it out to the cooling tower, where the cooling tower releases the heat to the environment. So basically, we're just taking heat from where we don't want it and removing it at the atmosphere. That's what we're doing with these water systems. And then this second illustration is a fluid cooler. It's another example of heat transfer equipment. Instead of using a chiller system, the heat exchanger is actually inside the fluid cooler itself. You can see the heat exchanger with the fluid in is where the heat is coming in. The water from the top drops over the coil. The heat is transferred from the coil to the water. The fluid out is able to go back to the facility and pick up heat wherever that heat may be. The heat then is transferred to the water droplets at the bottom of the illustration. We need to get rid of that heat to the atmosphere. It's evaporated, heat's released to the atmosphere, and the water is able to go back to the top of the system where it's able to do it all over again. Now we have a detailed picture of our cooling tower system. Again, we talked about the cooling tower system is designed to reject heat to the atmosphere. It rejects heat by the process of evaporation. Evaporation is the change of state from a liquid to a gas. This change of state requires a lot of energy. The energy that's used to this change of state is from heat. It's the heat that we picked up at the beginning at our heat load that's been transferred all the way up to the cooling tower, and we are going to release that heat to the atmosphere by the process of evaporation, the change of state. A good example I like to think about this is in the summertime at the swimming pool. We jump in, then we come out, we're wet, it's 90 degrees, sun shining, but we still shiver. That's the water evaporating off our body using our body heat. So it decreases the temperature. Same thing in the cooling tower system. The evaporation, the heat from the water is lost, causing the change of state. And then evaporation, it takes a lot of heat to change states. The heat that's required to change state, it's called the latent heat of vaporization. That's the kind of the technical term that we use. But when it takes a lot of energy, a lot of heat to do that. When we evaporate 1% of a volume of water, we have a temperature change of 10 degrees. So in our example, if you have 100 gallons of water at 90 degrees, we evaporate 1%, we have the remaining 99 gallons at 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So this just shows that water has excellent heat transfer capabilities. It's very efficient at transferring heat, and it's why it's used in these water systems. And also when we evaporate, another important thing to remember about evaporation is we only evaporate pure water. So any impurities that come in from the water that we talked about, where it may pick up calcium or whatever impurities it may pick up before it comes into our water system, those impurities are concentrated as the water from the system evaporates. So we want to protect our investment. These systems are really good at rejecting heat. At design, they're very efficient, and we want to keep them operating that way to be efficient. And that's where a good quality water treatment and maintenance program comes in. So why we want water treatment? What are we trying to avoid? What are problems that can occur in our water systems if we don't have a good quality water treatment program? We can have scale. Scale is the precipitation of dissolved materials on a heat exchanger surface. This happens when we have the saturation of the impurities in the water is reached. We talked about evaporation, it's only pure water. We're going to get to a point where the solubility is reached and there's no more room in the water to hold all this dissolved material, so it's going to want to precipitate out onto the system, the heat exchanger surfaces. This is something that we want to control with a good quality water treatment program. Another reason we don't want scale, it's an excellent insulator. So our whole objective with these water systems is to transfer heat. So we want it to be as efficient as possible. And if we have scale on it, it reduces our efficiency and it's going to increase our operating cost of the system. And then we'll have corrosion. Corrosion can happen in the water systems that they're mostly made of metal. We have water, so corrosion can be a real problem in the water systems. Corrosion is a real problem because once the metal's lost, it's gone. It has to be replaced. With scale, if you get scale formed on your systems, you can do an acid cleaning. You can get the scale cleaned up, and we can be back in business. But corrosion, if you have you lose the integrity of your metal, you have to replace it. So that's not something that we want to happen. And the next problem we
think you might have muted yourself, Melissa.
Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sorry about that. Deposits. Deposits are the accumulation of suspended solids in the cooling tower system. So the tower system is out open in the atmosphere. It works as a great air scrubber, air filter. So it ends up, anything that's in the air can end up in the cooling tower system. So this time of year in the spring, we get a lot of pollen in the air. So we can have a lot of pollen end up in the cooling tower system. In the fall, when the leaves are changing and falling, you can end up with a lot of leaves in the system. Certain times of the year when we have cicadas, we could have a big problem. Cicadas ended up in the cooling tower system. So deposits can be an issue in the water systems. And another issue that we have is biofouling, and that's the uncontrolled growth of microorganisms in a water system. It can be bacteria, it can be algae, any kind of microorganism that can grow and proliferate in the water system. The water systems are usually warm water, moist, they're open to the atmosphere so they can get contaminated. They are a good breeding ground for bacteria. I like to think of kind of a giant petri dish. Our deposits can cause, a bacteria food source, so they all kind of intermix together. But the biofouling, we can cause slime. The top picture, it's sticky. It can impede airflow, water flow. Your system's not going to operate as efficiently as it should. You can have biofilm. The bottom picture, problem with biofilm, is also an excellent insulator. Again, we're trying to transfer heat, so we don't want anything that's going to insulate. Biofilm is more insulating than scale. So we don't want anything that would inhibit the efficiency of our system. And another potential problem with cooling tower systems is that they have the potential for pathogenic bacteria to proliferate in the system. So properly treating a cooling tower system can also be a matter of public health. So a water system not properly treated, we can have scale, corrosion, deposits, biofouling. They all can contribute to increased energy costs, increased maintenance costs, increased downtime. And these are all things that we can reduce or prevent with a good quality water treatment program. And as Mark stated at the beginning, we've been in business for over 50 years. We offer custom services to any of our customers. We look at the water that you have. We look at your systems. Every system's unique, and they all need to have an individual program. And we are very pleased to work with Mark and Kathleen in Blue Ocean and be able to provide some excellent, solid options to our customers. There's a lot of great benefits to these products. I'm not going to get into them because Kathleen will talk about that in just a minute. We serve basically any industry that has water treatment needs, we can serve. We do these type of trainings and seminars for our customers. We like to have a team approach to all our water treatment programs. And we also have an online portal that has all our information, safety data sheets, service reports, all in one location that helps our customers with management of their program. And with that, I will turn it over to Kathleen.
Well, I think is there another slide? Oh, there we go. So this is Mark. Kathleen she'll show her expertise here in a minute, but real quickly, I'll talk on the next two slides. Again, I'll reiterate what I said at the beginning. We don't have some kind of super polymer or some new technology. We're using the same state-of-the-art polymers that all water treaters are using in the liquid formulations. We've got the experience, we've got the formulations, so that's not an issue. We don't sell to end users. We've seen out in the field, again, because it's been since the 1960s, these guys have all been used to using liquids that they won't even present to a facility because they're not comfortable with it. They're not comfortable with taking out a 55-gallon drum and putting a solid concentrate on the wall. It's just not comfortable. So that's our role, is to work with the top solids companies in the country, which Aquaphase is probably the #1 solids company that I know of. And Kathleen will cover the other 3 points about why it creates a safer work environment, why it's good for our planet, why it's good for our people. Next slide, please. So real quickly, what is solid water treatment? The best way to think of it, if you're in your grocery store, you're going down the laundry aisle, and you see that big, huge bottle of Tide in a liquid form. A lot of us use it. But then next to it is that smaller packaging and more concentrated Tide pods. So to visualize same chemistry, different form, that's a good example of what Procter & Gamble, who have converted all their facilities here in Cincinnati to solids. It's a good visualization to say, okay, now I get it. It's the same chemistry, it's just a different form, which makes it safer. Everything that Melissa covered, the chemistry within the solid is the same, whether it's trying to pick up calcium, magnesium, or it's protecting yellow metal, or it's fighting microbial fouling. It's all in there. It's state of the art. Again, Kathleen will get more specific on this, but a 44-pound case of solid product is the equivalent of a 55-gallon drum. And if any of you have had to deal with a 55-gallon drum, trying to move it, trying to deliver it, and then you have to triple rinse it, it's not easy. This is a 44-pound case that's in a cardboard box with 4 bottles. Everything can go in with your aluminum cans. It's completely recyclable and safe. Because you got to remember that 55-gallon drum is also at a pH of 14, which if you've ever had an alkaline burn, I think it's worse than an acid burn because it's harder to get off of your skin. So and Kathleen will cover some of that. And then you dissolve it on site. So a good visual for that is, I think, is Starbucks. If you pulled up to a Starbucks and they had everything in liquid form, there'd be tanker trucks sitting out back of the Starbucks with liquid coffee being sent to the cups. That's all we're doing. We're bringing it in a concentrate and then dissolving it on site. So there's a lot of sustainability with the way that works. The difference, and again, it goes to someone that's got expertise, that's been around it for 20 years or 15 years. And I think that's the other point. A lot of facilities are saying we're not going to beta site something. We can't afford to have equipment down. This isn't new technology. It's just technology that you probably haven't been presented because somebody's not comfortable with it. But you've got a company like Aquaphase that can go in, get the right pump sizing. They know how to dose. They have the software to make sure you're getting the right amount of chemistry in there. And that's what's important. So Kathleen, who is our Director of Sales and Marketing and a true expert on how to put this all together on how to save metric tons of greenhouse gases and take that out of your facility. She'll follow up with the next part of the presentation.
Thanks so much, Mark. Thanks to everybody again for attending today. As you have just learned from Melissa, water treatment is an essential part of keeping your facility's equipment running efficiently and prolonging that equipment's life. What is great news and what Mark just went over is that there is a much safer and more sustainable option for you. Blue ocean solids offer benefits to all aspects of sustainability, including people, planet, and profit, and I would like to go over some of those benefits now. When it comes to safety and protecting the people in your facility, blue ocean solids provide many benefits over traditional liquid water treatment. Because a case weighing less than 50 pounds has the same amount of treatment as a 55-gallon, 500-pound drum of hazardous liquid, blue ocean products are much easier and safer to handle. Now let's talk about another safety benefit. Did you know that there were over 22,000 hazardous spills in the United States in 2019? Because blue ocean solids are in a concentrated form, our products eliminate any spill potential of a hazardous liquid both on the way to and inside your facility. And finally, because many mechanical rooms are often hard to get to as they're located either in the basement or on the roof, blue ocean solids make it easier to maneuver those stairs, ladders, or ramps to those locations and allows for much more convenient and safer storage. Now, when it comes to the planet, blue ocean solids provide many benefits, the first being emissions reduction. As we have mentioned, there's a significant size and weight difference in equivalent amounts of blue ocean solid and liquid water treatment. Because of this, it takes approximately 2.5 times more fossil fuels to deliver that 500-pound drum when compared to delivering the equivalent blue ocean product, which would be a 44-pound case. There are also emission savings due to reductions in both plastic usage and sodium hydroxide production. Now, sodium hydroxide is a very energy-intensive product to produce and is needed for that liquid water treatment. It's needed to keep the active ingredients in solution. Sodium hydroxide is not needed for blue ocean solids. Another benefit for the planet is blue ocean's recyclable packaging. A plastic drum that contained liquid chemicals must eventually be scrapped or placed in a landfill, and sometimes leaks occur there, so we want to avoid that. Blue ocean packaging replaces that standard liquid chemical drum with 100% recyclable solution. We have number 2 plastic bottles and corrugated shipping boxes, which, as Mark mentioned earlier, can be placed in with traditional recycling collections. So that equates to 0 contributions to landfills, excuse me. Another great benefit to blue ocean products, and one that is becoming more and more important, is water savings. Blue ocean products contain 0% water as they are dissolved on site. Our products also eliminate the need to triple rinse a chemical drum to prepare it for disposal. And I think Mark hit on this a little earlier as well. What triple rinsing is the process required when disposing of chemical drums. And when this is done properly, triple rinsing requires more than 40 gallons of water for each drum. And that's just crazy. It's water that's used to rinse the drum, and it goes right down the drain. Blue ocean products do not require this triple rinsing. Finally, let's talk profit. Blue Ocean as a company is committed to helping facilities better understand the cost savings associated with adopting a safer and more sustainable water treatment program. Blue Ocean reduces the liability of a workman's comp claim. Did you know that the average workman's comp claim is about $40,000 per claim in the United States? When you use Blue Ocean concentrates in your facility, you eliminate the liability associated with handling that 500-pound drum of hazardous liquid within your facility. This liability also extends to any accident that may occur during transport of this material to your place of business. Blue Ocean also positively affects your bottom line through shipping savings, and this is significant. Blue Ocean products can ship regular UPS or FedEx without any special accommodations. And because of this, shipping liquid water treatment costs almost 4 times more than shipping Blue Ocean concentrates, and that's for the same amount of treatment. As I'm sure you know also, square footage in a facility comes at a cost, and it's not cheap. The storage space demanded in a mechanical room is decreased because the footprint of our small concentrated packaging allows for easier storage. Approximately 12 cases of Blue Ocean concentrates fit in the same footprint as one 500-pound drum. As we've mentioned before, one 44-pound case of Blue Ocean concentrates, which is those 4 one-gallon jars, is equivalent to one 500-pound drum of hazardous liquid water treatment. Now, one of the most important things to remember throughout this whole presentation is that Blue Ocean products contain the same proven formulations and provide the same protection as traditional liquid water treatment. So let's review how we can help you with your sustainability efforts. When it comes to people and making things safer, Blue Ocean eliminates hazardous sodium hydroxide. It's easier and safer to handle throughout your facility and to your mechanical room. As for the planet, Blue Ocean allows for emissions reduction, recyclable packaging, and water savings. And finally, for your profit, Blue Ocean reduces liability risks, reduces shipping costs, and saves space. Now I'm going to hand it back over to Melissa for a review of Aquaphase and what they have to offer. Melissa?
Yes. So, review of Aquaphase. So, like I said earlier, we've been in the business for over 50 years. We've seen a lot of different things come and go during that time, and the Blue Ocean solid water treatment is, I believe it's a real game changer for the safety and environmental factors. We've had a lot of customers switch to it for those various reasons, and it's an excellent product. And we can apply it. We've been doing it for over 15 years now. We feel like we can put it in place and have great success with having an efficient system. We are located in Middle Tennessee, and we service all over Tennessee and Kentucky and Southern Indiana. We're a member of the Association of Water Technologists, and several of our team members are certified water technologists. And with that, I will turn it back over to Caleb unless anybody has any questions for any of us.
Melissa, I had a question for you, and everyone, feel free to raise your hand and I can unmute you to ask your questions, or send those questions if you'd like for me to ask those. Send those in the chat box and I'll ask those to our presenters. First off, just thank you guys for talking about this innovative technology and the services that you guys provide. Melissa, I wanted to talk to you a little bit, or ask you, if a facility would like for Aquaphase to come in and sort of help them out, can you sort of tell us what that, like a real brief, high level, step-by-step process that you guys can help out a facility with?
Right, yes, that's a good question. Thanks. What we do is, the first step we do is we come in and what we call a site survey. So we would walk through the facility, we would look at the water system, we would look at how the water is being used, we would look at any special conditions or requirements of the water systems. We look at the control and feed equipment that's already in place, what you have. We would take water samples from the makeup water that's being used at the system, so we know what quality water is being used in the system. We take water samples from the systems themselves and run them through our lab and evaluate the current condition from that. We can put it into our program. We'll come up with what treatments we would recommend, how we would operate the program. We do a lot with water conservation in addition to the chemicals. We like to see if we can have some water savings, have the systems run as efficiently as possible. Once we put all that together, we take it back to the prospective client. We go through everything, see if they have any questions, and kind of go from there.
Awesome. Yeah, and I have a question that just came into the chat box. If a facility wants you guys to come in and sort of help them audit their water systems and see if this is blue ocean solids would be something that they could sort of move towards, do they just need to go onto your website and request, or reach out to you, or how does that work?
Right. You could go to our website and send in. You could contact me directly. I believe you can. You have my contact information at the end of this presentation. You could email me directly. You could call me. We have service reps, technical reps throughout Tennessee. They would come on site, again, look at everything, talk about everything, see where you're at, and definitely go from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
There's my contact information. So yeah, I don't believe my email's on there, but it's my name, melissa.davis@aquaphase.com.
Yeah, and whenever we get next week, whenever I send up the follow-up email, that'll have the link for the recording of this webinar, and also if you guys feel comfortable, we'll have your slides and your contact information just in case any facilities want to take you guys up and see if they can change over into this innovative technology. Let's see, a couple more questions coming in. Have you seen, I'm not sure who this is for, it might be for both or all three of you. Have you seen facilities benefiting from use of this technology in terms of reducing chemicals on site?
I guess I can take that. This is Melissa. Yes, absolutely. Like Kathleen mentioned, liquid format, they're usually dilutions of the product. So one 55-gallon drum of a typical scale corrosion inhibitor is replaced by a 44-pound container, cardboard box of solid blue ocean inhibitor. So it definitely saves footprint space.
And another part
active ingredients.
Yeah, and another part of that question was, especially as it relates to the TRI, or the toxic release inventory reporting. We know from the EPA, we know that that's been a really specific and specialized topic over the last couple of years. So have you seen benefits with blue ocean solids being able to reduce the amount of toxic release inventory in facilities?
Yes, it should, because like as Kathleen mentioned, there's not hazardous ingredients in the blue ocean products.
Awesome. Yeah, and we had another one come in. It says, do Aquaphase and Blue Ocean only operate and conduct water system audits in Tennessee? I think you mentioned that in one of your previous slides. You were talking about Tennessee and Kentucky, I think. But yeah, you guys want to talk a little bit more about that?
I can.
Yes.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, this is Kathleen. We partner with Aquaphase in their territory, which is Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana, but we do have distributors across the country that we work with in the same way we work with Aquaphase. So we work with great water treatment companies across the country to provide that service and provide blue ocean products.
And so say there's a facility on here that doesn't really fall in Aquaphase's jurisdiction or whatnot, and what would you offer up as a suggestion for a facility that doesn't have access to a water systems audit? How could they try out or figure out if blue ocean solids would be something that could help them reduce, some of their toxic chemicals that they're using?
Yeah, they could certainly get in touch with us, and we would put them in touch with a water treatment company that would do that water audit and all the other services similar to what Aquaphase would provide.
Awesome. I'm very excited to hear about the innovative technology and the work that you guys are doing. It's exciting, and it's something that I didn't really ever think about, you know. The efficiency of these water systems are very important for basically all different types of facilities. So thank you guys for the work that you're doing on both ends. And if anybody has any more questions, please send those to me, and I will ask those. If we don't have any more, I'm not seeing any coming in as of right now. Always, if you think of questions, you know, you're sleeping tonight and you think about this presentation and you have a question that you'd like to ask, feel free to send those to me. My email is caleb.powell, CALEB.POWELL @tn.gov. I'll put that in the chat box for you guys. And then also, you will be, like I mentioned before, you will be receiving a follow-up email with, if our presenters feel comfortable with it, with the slides, the link to our recording of this webinar, and some more information about our future webinars. This is the second of 4 pollution prevention webinars that we will be hosting this year, and so just stay tuned and be on the lookout for registration links and webinar invites. Once again, I wanted to say thank you, Kathleen, Mark, and Melissa, for the work that you guys are doing. It's really great, and the innovative technology is just something that I would have never thought of, but it makes so much sense. So if no one has any more questions, feel free to email me if you need me, and be on the lookout for that follow-up email. Thank you guys so much, and have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
Thank you.